O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Trade war in North America countries appeared to have degenerated into another level after Canada former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigned and gave room for a professional economist, Carney Mark, to take over as the Canadian Prime Minister at a critical time. Another professional economist, President Donald Trump of the United States, considered to be the aggressor, had launched trade war against Canada and Mexico with missiles of heavy taxations, following which Carney, who in 2007 was named Governor of the Bank of Canada, where he was responsible for Canadian monetary policy during the global financial crisis and led the Canadian Central Bank until 2013, when he was appointed as Governor of the Bank of England, where he led the British Central Bank's response to Brexit and the early phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, called on Canadians on Sunday to hold on April 28, 2025, the federal elections expected to be held in October 2025, to get the people's mandates to tackle President Donald Trump, whom Carney accused of wanting to break Canadians, so that the US can annex Canada as a state under US rule. This may interest you to know that President Donald Trump, who graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1968 with a bachelor's degree in economics and became the president of his family's real estate business in 1971, which Trump renamed it the Trump Organization, and began acquiring and building skyscrapers, hotels, casinos, and golf courses, which along the line, Trump led the inherited family business into 6 bankruptcies in the 1990s and 2000s, forcing Trump to begin side ventures, and from 2004 to 2015, Trump hosted the reality television show, The Apprentice, which scaled up his popularity, and luckily for Trump, he won the 2016 presidential election against Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton and became U.S. President for the first time, and later returned to the White House for the second time after he won the November 2024 U.S. presidential elections. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, on Sunday called early elections for April 28, pledging to defeat Donald Trump's drive to annex the United States' huge northern neighbor. Carney was chosen by Canada's centrist Liberal Party to replace Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister, but he has never faced the country's broader electorate, according to local and international media. "I've just requested that the Governor-General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28. She has agreed," Carney said in a speech to the nation, referring to King Charles III's representative in Canada, a member of the British Commonwealth. On his X social media post on Sunday, Carney stated that, "We need to build the strongest economy in the G7. We need to deal with President Trump's tariffs." Earlier in the month, Trump ordered the enforcement of his imposed 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico goods or products, shifting relations between the 3 neighboring countries. "We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty," Carney said, speaking to outlets in Ottawa. "President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us," Carney said. "We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons." Trump has repeatedly claimed that Canada should join the US as the 51st state, a move that Canadian officials refuse and call outlandish. It was expected for Carney to call for a quick election, as he doesn't have a seat in Parliament and the Liberals don't have a majority, according to the New York Times, as Carney will face off against the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre. In power, for a decade, the Liberal government had slid into deep unpopularity, but Carney will be hoping to ride a wave of Canadian patriotism to a new majority. "I'm asking Canadians for a strong, positive mandate to deal with President Trump," Carney said, adding that the Republican wants to break us, so America can own us. "We will not let that happen. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada, he added, pledging not to meet Trump until the US leader recognizes Canadian sovereignty. Trump has apparently undermined his northern neighbor by repeatedly dismissing its borders as artificial, and urging it to join the United States as the 51st state. The ominous remarks have been accompanied by Trump's swirling trade war, with the imposition of tariffs on imports from Canada, which could severely damage its economy. Trudeau, who had been in power since 2015, was deeply unpopular when he announced he was stepping down, with Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives seen as election favorites just weeks ago. Local observers had said that the polls have narrowed spectacularly in Carney's favor since he took over the Liberals, who only hold a minority in Parliament, and analysts are now calling the race too close to call. Many consider this to be an existential election, unprecedented. Felix Mathieu, a political scientist at the University of Winnipeg, told AFP as reported. It is impossible at this stage to make predictions, but this will be a closely watched election with a voter turnout that should be on the rise. Poilievre, 45, is a career politician, first elected when he was only 25. A veteran tough-talking campaigner, he has sometimes been tagged as a libertarian and a populist. On Sunday, Poilievre, seen by some as too similar to Trump in style and substance, set the tone as reported by AFP. I want the opposite of what Donald Trump wants, the conservative leader said, promising to base his campaign on bread and butter economic issues and the worries of regular people. Carney, 60, has spent his career outside of electoral politics. He spent more than a decade at Goldman Sachs and went on to lead Canada's central bank, and then the Bank of England. As for the US leader, he professes not to care, while pushing ahead with plans to further strengthen tariffs against Canada and other major trading partners on April 2nd. I don't care who wins up there, Trump said this week. But just a little while ago, before I got involved and totally changed the election, which I don't care about, the Conservative was leading by 35 points. Mark Carney, during his inauguration as the Canadian PM earlier this month, said, "Today, we're building a government that meets the moment. Canadians expect action, and that's what this team will deliver. A smaller, experienced cabinet that moves faster, secures our economy, and protects Canada's future." Trudeau had announced his resignation in January as polls showed his Liberal Party would likely face defeat in an upcoming election. But the party's fortunes have since improved amid growing Canadian antipathy toward Trump and his policies. In a farewell message posted on X earlier this month, Trudeau said, "Thank you, Canada, for trusting in me, for challenging me, and for granting me the privilege to serve the best country, and the best people, on earth." The Liberals have been courting Carney for more than a decade, and he advised Trudeau on Canada's economic recovery from COVID-19. But the banker-turned-politician did not make his official entrance until Trudeau announced his resignation in January. All of his competitors were sitting politicians. Carney is in the unusual situation to become Canada's Prime Minister without holding a seat in Parliament. We had, earlier in the year, reported that the three North American countries, Canada, Mexico and the United States, US, which had planned to begin trade war with missiles of heavy taxations or tariffs today, Tuesday, February 4, 2025, have paused the intending war for 30 days to enable both parties cement the deals President Donald Trump entered with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo after the leaders of the North American countries had phone conversation almost throughout on Monday.
President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country.
But he didn't fail.
He wants to break us so America can own us.
Of the promise of Canada.
We will not let that happen.
It was a very simple promise.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.